Hey, gang, and happy Friday the 13th, first of all. And for those of you that are currently in the process of getting to Horror Hound Weekend, I will be there tomorrow, like I said. Um, Steve didn't want to go any earlier than he had to. So um, we are going to be headed to Horror Hound Weekend tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for the upcoming Highway to Hell, which probably won't be up until after I get back from Horror Hound Weekend tomorrow evening. I'll have to put that together. So be sure to be on the lookout for that to be up either Saturday or Sunday at the latest. And because it's Friday the 13th, some of you may have been thinking that I would review a couple of Friday the 13th movies. Gonna throw you a curveball today, folks. Because in honor of me getting to meet and get a photo with Robert England tomorrow at 3:05 p.m. I should be in line for that, so y'all be thinking of me as I navigate through that crazy line. Um, but in honor of that, and also in honor of it being the 40th anniversary this year of A Nightmare on Elm Street, I know I've talked about that a lot. I will be talking about the original A Nightmare on Elm Street today, as well as talking about, and I'll have to pull it out of this pack that I've got, a Nightmare on Elm Street collection. We'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, okay, which is another one of my favorites. But before we get started with the movies, I just wanted to let everybody know I fixed my first official cup of Bates Motel Breakfast Blend tea. It's good, but gang, I've already taken a couple of sips of it. And see, I'm not dying. I'm not dead yet. So it's absolutely delicious if I did blend it up myself. So if you like teas, hop on over to deaditesondeck.com and you can get your very own batch of that should make about 15 cups of tea for $15. You can get Bates Motel Breakfast Blend. You can get England's Elderberry Spice. You can get Herbert's Folly, which is chocolate mint. Maniac Mint, which is basically, a combination of spearmint and sweet mint. Let's see, what else can we get? Leatherface's lemongrass. You can get some of that. See if I'm forgetting any. I'm trying to remember. I think I have like 6 of them, that I have already named. Plus, there's soon going to be a Carrie's, I think it's cinnamon apple prom night punch. Don't ask me why I can't talk today. I haven't imbibed in anything. So I must just be so excited over Horror Hound tomorrow. So if you're into tea, or you just want to try some tea, I have some teas up on deaditesondeck.com. So be sure to check those out as well as the other things that I have on the site. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started with The Nightmare on Elm Street, shall we? Nightmare on Elm Street was the one that started it all. It was the one that introduced us to Freddy Krueger. For a lot of us, it may have been the first time you ever seen Robert Englund in a movie. He did play Freddy Krueger, in case you're not in the know. And played Freddy Krueger for some time to come until that awful remake when they put Jackie Earle Haley in the role. God only knows why. I love Jackie Earle Haley. I've said this before. I'll continue to say it. I love Jackie Earle Haley as an actor. I am not going to put him down as an actor, but he was simply not right, in my opinion, for the role of Freddy Krueger. Okay? So, let's get back to the original Nightmare on Elm Street released in 1984, directed by Wes Craven. Um, Tells the story of a neighborhood boogeyman who was a child murderer, um, who the parents, he got off on a technicality. The parents took it into their own, took justice in their own hands and burned him, and thought that, nobody would be the wiser, right? But Freddie is able to return in their children's nightmares and subsequently kills many of their children throughout the course of this film and throughout the course of this series, right? Um, I love the look of Freddie, especially in this one, because Freddie, in my opinion, Freddie is at his darkest in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. There's just no mistaking it. It's still, although I'm not terrified of the movie, I've never been terrified of the movie because I didn't watch it back in 1984. I watched it many, many moons later, many years later. And so I was older. If I'd been a little kid, it probably would have scared the crap out of me. But Freddie never scared me. He never terrified me. But just the way Robert Englund plays him, those little nuances here and there within the film, sends shivers up and down my spine. And even now when I watch it, it does. Because this is probably Robert Englund in his most sadistic role. And he takes a big old bite out of it and he doesn't let go the entire film. It is absolutely fantastic. Hats off. Take your fedoras off for Robert Englund. If you didn't already know, this man is a genius actor. I'm not saying that just because I'm going to meet him in a day. Oh, excuse me. I accidentally squeezed my little tea bag too hard, and word of warning, you guys and gals, don't squeeze a tea bag too hard, especially if it's one of those kind of do-it-yourself tea bags you get off of Amazon, because you might have little grainy little bits fall out in your tea, and that's what happened to me because I was stupid and squeezed that tea bag too hard. Um, I have seen through doing Everybody Wants England, and I knew that Robert Englund was a great actor, but I'd primarily seen him prior to me doing the Everybody Wants England Robert Englund film retrospective. Seen him in the horror roles. But this man is very versatile. I've said this before, I'll continue to say it. He can play the most lovable characters like Willie and V. And he can play the most sadistic characters like Freddy Krueger. Okay. So this guy gets my seal of approval every single time. Even if the film is a bad film, which A Nightmare on Elm Street is not, but even if a film is a bad film, I can still watch Robert Englund in it and get enjoyment out of his uh, acting performances. So I don't think I need to go on and on and on about the plot of A Nightmare on Elm Street. It is the introduction to the world of Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was very young, starting out in this. We also have Heather Langenkamp. Can't talk. Heather Langenkamp playing Nancy, the main character in the film, and the one that has to go up against Freddie ultimately. Ronnie Blakely plays her mother. John Saxon plays Lieutenant Thompson, her father. And of course, like I said, this is directed by Mr. Wes Craven, who is sadly no longer with us. I've said before that the death of Wes Craven was a huge blow to me because I didn't even know the man was sick. And then all of a sudden I heard that he died of brain cancer. Um, which is, it's very sad. A great loss to the horror community when he passed away. So you may be wondering what my rating is going to be for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Some of you may be able to guess. Um, I'm going to give this one 5 deadites out of 5 because it just simply is one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen. And if you've never seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, I urge you to seek it out, preferably to find a for free version somewhere. It was on Shudder, but now I'm not seeing it on Shudder, so they must have not been able to secure the license for longer. So that is Nightmare on Elm Street. And so we'll move on to the second film that I wanted to talk about today, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, which is one of my all-time favorite sequels. And, I don't have a separate case for this one, but it is in this collection. Which this collection, by the way, is not bad. It's not the best, but it is a way to get all 7 original Nightmare films on Blu-ray. Okay, so Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Why do I love this movie? Well, we have a whole new batch of kids because some of you might be thinking, how did they make like 7 films when surely to goodness all the original Elm Street kids are gone? Yeah, that is so. Either they got killed off in earlier films, or maybe they moved out of the neighborhood. They moved off of Elm Street, whatever the case may be. They moved to another suburb or whatever. But you wouldn't have a movie series if you couldn't figure out how to tie a boogeyman like Freddy Krueger to a bunch of different kids, right? So they generally, the kids that move into the neighborhood, they move into Elm Street, they move into Springwood or whatever. Okay. Freddy's still hanging around, folks. He may appear to be destroyed, taken down at the end of every subsequent Nightmare on Elm Street film. But he's the boogeyman. He always manages to come back in a new batch of kids' nightmares, right? So we are introduced to the character of Alice, who at first you may think, well, how is she going to be our heroine? How is she going to be the final girl? Spoiler alert, Alice does turn out to be the final girl in this one. Okay. Because when we first see Alice, she's like a meek, shy, hardly says anything type of person. But I always liked her because she was a nice girl, right? And she has a brother who is into karate and kickboxing and, all of that type of stuff. So her brother appears to be a little bit stronger character. Their father, they're raised by a single father. I think the mother is deceased. And although the father does not beat on Alice and her brother, he is sort of verbally abusive, especially to Alice. And he does have a problem with alcohol, similar to Ronnie Blakely's character of Marge in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, because something that seems to be a reoccurring theme in a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies is that the parents are damaged in some way. The kids are damaged too, but the parents have either an addiction or some other reason why they're not paying attention to what their kids are telling them, right? And therefore are not able to protect their children the way they should, right? So, when Freddie starts killing off Alice's friends, and she has a lot of strong friends. Brooke Thies plays a she works out all the time. She's got muscles. She is a very strong character. She doesn't take anything off of people, even guys. She won't take it off of them. Uh, Toy Newkirk, who is one of Alice's friend, who plays one of Alice's friends, has asthma, and there's a scene where she's sucking on an inhaler, and some jackass comes up to her and says something like, "I got something you can suck on," or something, and Brooke Thies's character calls him Needle Dick. So she's a very tough, no nonsense type of character. So Alice is surrounded by all these stronger characters than her. And as Freddie starts killing these characters off, she gains their strength. Now, Kristen is one of the first to go. And the Kristen character is a carryover from part 3. We have a different person playing. Tuesday Night plays Kristen in this one. And when Kristen's character is killed off, that's the first bit of energy that Alice gets, because she is able to be pulled into Kristen's nightmare and subsequently gets pulled into the other kids' nightmares as they are killed off. Once they are killed off, she gains their energy, right? So, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and some people might say, well, that's vulgar, Nina. But I got a sense of empowerment. Me being not a very strong person, I'm still not a strong person, don't have a lot of self confidence in myself, etc. And in fact, I tell people this gal has zero self confidence. So for me to be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and watch Alice's transformation into this meek, shy, kind of mousy girl who everybody walks all over, to this powerhouse that's going to go up against Freddy. The scene that I knew this movie kicked into high gear was when Alice normally kept her mirror in her bedroom covered over with pictures of her friends and her brother and stuff like that, because she didn't really want to look at herself. She didn't think that she was anything that anybody would ever, want to be around, like in a romantic sense or anything. She just did not think highly of herself. Okay. And a lot of us don't. A lot of us regular Janes and Joes don't think that much of ourselves. Okay. So when she gets the strength from all of her friends and, spoiler alert, her brother, she takes all the pictures off the mirror. She looks like a very strong woman. She's got, like a leather jacket on and stuff like. She's got all of these things taken from her friends and her brother. She's got a little bit of every one of them inside her. Okay. And she takes all the pictures off the mirror. She stands in front of it, and her back is straight, her head is up. She's looking straight into the mirror, and she says, "Fucking A." And I don't care how vulgar somebody might think that is. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, you go out and you destroy Freddy. As much as I enjoy the Freddy Krueger character and the way that Robert Englund plays him, when you have that moment of pure empowerment from a movie. And this is positive empowerment. I'm not talking about the type of empowerment that people talk about, and I call bullshit on this, but they say that movies turn people, or like horror movies are very violent movies, turn people into killers that want to go out and kill a bunch of people. I call bullshit on that. But I think this is a form of positive empowerment. It's a way that those of us that don't feel good about ourselves can feel good about ourselves, because we look at a character like Alice, who started out on the lower end of the spectrum, not really having a power to fight against anything, to this amazing powerhouse of energy and depth. That is a win-win all the way around. And she fights the ultimate evil in Freddy Krueger. She's not going to let Freddy take her down. And she gets a guy in the process as well. She gets Dan, the football player. So, again, what am I going to give as a rating to this one? I'm going to have to give this one 5 deadites out of 5 as well. Now, when I talk about subsequent Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I may not give them 5 deadites out of 5. More than likely, I won't. But some of them, I certainly will. And the first one and the fourth one are definitely two that I would want to give 5 deadites out of 5 to. So, I guess that's all for me for now. Like I said, stay tuned for Highway to Hell, Horror Hound Weekend. And hear me gush over Robert England. I have a gift to give the man. Hopefully, I'll, be able to take those few seconds to give him that gift before we get the picture taken, and tell him how much I love him and respect him as an actor. But I'm off like a dirty shirt. But before I go, I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday the 13th. I am planning on spending the rest of my Friday the 13th watching some Friday the 13th films. And I hope you guys and gals aren't too upset with me that I didn't review Friday the 13th films on Friday the 13th. But I'm out of here for now. But I'll see everybody next time.